What's up YouTube, in this video I'll be showing you how to make this incredibly bloody Death of Notch house. This is the most gruesome build that I have ever done, and I've made a statue of Donald Trump. Here's the concept. So here we have Herobrine with an incredibly blood-splattered, blood-dripping sword, blood-splattered face, and blood-soaked hand, holding the dismembered head of Notch himself, dripping blood into a pit of fire. And just in case you're curious as to how this constitutes as a house, if we access the leg and we fly upwards and travel through the arm, we will find that inside Notch's head we have a nice little base in which we have plenty of storage space, we have a sleeping area, a crafting area, and if you were so inclined you could turn Herobrine's head into a room as well. This build is incredibly gruesome, but perfect for Halloween, so if you enjoy builds like this, please give this video a like and a share. I'd really appreciate it. And also comment down below what else you'd like to see in the future. But that's way more than enough talking. Why don't I actually show you how to make this thing? So if you want to make it, here's what you'll need. Grab yourself some cyan hardened clay, some blue wool, some cyan, some white hardened clay, some brown hardened clay, some red hardened clay, some block of quartz, some block of diamond, and some spruce wood planks. Plus, we need every single other one of those materials that you can see in the inventory right there, and even more if you plan on doing the interior, which we will not be covering in this video, but you'll need whatever it is you'll need to do your interior. Only you rarely know that. So once you have each one of these materials, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'm going to be making it in front of this incredibly creepy pumpkin themed house. Well, you're going to want to kick off this build with a row of 8 cyan stained clay in a row on the floor. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then add another layer of cyan on top of that. Then proceed to add 8 layers of dark blue on top of that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then just fill those in however you might like to. And these will be the front of Herobrine's legs. Well, once we've got them all filled in, of course. Once you have your 8 rows of dark blue, beginning from the right hand side of the top row of dark blue, do 2 cyan wool coming up. Go left by 1 with the cyan wool from the top cyan wool, then fill in those 2 rows with dark blue to give you this effect. Then do 8 rows of cyan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of this is of course being stacked on top of each other, if I forgot to mention that. And this will be the majority of Herobrine's shirt, so there we go, 8 rows of cyan. For the next row, going from left to right, we want to do 3 cyan, 1, 2, 3, so that's on top of our 8 rows, going from left to right, that's 3 cyan, 2 white hardened clay, 3 cyan. For the next row, do 2 cyan, 4 white clay, 2 cyan. Wonderful. What we now want to do is Herobrine's head. So, stack a row of white hardened clay on top of that last row that you made, extend that clay towards you by 1 row with the white hardened clay. Then in front of this row, going from left to right, do 2 white clay, then 4 brown clay, 2 white clay. For the next row, going from left to right, we want to do 1 red clay, 1 white clay, 1 brown, 2 white, 1 brown, 1 red, 1 white. As a matter of fact, you know what? We actually got one of these blocks wrong right at the beginning of the head. You see this bottom right hand corner block here? We want to add more red clay, so we kind of have that formation with the red. I'm sorry about that, that was my mistake. And if you feel as though there is a lack of blood, by the way, what you can very easily do is knock out particular blocks and you can add more red hardened clay. So whether that's to the shirt or down below or wherever you might think that the statue needs it, add more if you want more. But coming back to the head, for the next row, going from left to right, do 1 white clay, 1 red, 1 white, 2 brown, 3 white. For the next row, do 1 white, 2 quartz, 2 white, 2 quartz, 1 white. For the next row, do an entire row of white hardened clay. For the next row, do 1 brown, 6 white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 brown. Then do 2 rows of brown, that'll be 1 and 2, and now I can just fill those in now that I've marked them out. So that will be Herobrine's face pretty much complete. That is incredibly creepy. Once you've got that done, we now want to take this very first row of white hardened clay that we placed, and we want to add 5 rows of white clay behind it. Well, actually, we want to do 4. Let's begin with 4, and I'll show you why. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we can just take these and we can extend them back. That's 2 rows, this will be the 3rd row, this will be the 4th row. The reason that we didn't do 5 as intended is because for this back row, we want to place 2 brown stained clay in the center of this back row, and then we want to do white hardened clay everywhere else, like this. So easy. Once you've got that done, we then want to take out our brown clay, extend up the back 2 corners of the head, and connect them to the front of the head. So also connect them together, by the way. So take the back 2 corners of the head, raise them up with the brown stained clay, connect them to the front of the head in this fashion. The back of the head can be completely filled in with brown stained clay, as can the top of the head. So fill in the back and the top with brown stained clay. Unfortunately, the left and right hand sides are not so simple. Steve, once again, unfortunately has a hairline, and we've got to adhere to that. So once you've filled in the back and the top of the head, come to, let's say, the left hand side of the head. Starting from this brown wool right at the bottom of the base of the head here on the left hand side, you want to extend this brown, I said wool didn't I, brown clay, extend it to the right towards the front of the head by 2, 1, 2, do an upright diagonal, go right 1, up 1, do an upright diagonal, right 1. Wonderful. Fill the bottom of that shape in with white clay. Fill the top of the shape in with brown clay. It's as easy as that. And once you've got that done on that side of the head, do the same on the opposite side of the head. And just in case you guys can't remember what to do, we take this bottom clay and we go towards the front of the head. In this case, it's left. So go left by 2, 1, 2, do an up left diagonal. Go left 1, up left diagonal, left 1 to connect to the head. Fill the lower half of the shape that you've just made in with white stained clay, and fill the upper half of the shape in with brown stained clay to give you an effect that should look like this. And what we have right now is a pretty creepy looking, kind of like Herobrine creeper. Well, once you have your Herobrine creeper, what we now want to do is we want to come all the way down to the base of the creeper. I meant Herobrine, but whatever, same thing. Kind of, probably. Take the very bottom row of cyan stained clay that we have for Herobrine and extend it backwards by 3 rows with your cyan clay. That's 1, this will be 2, and this will be 3. So you want to have 3 layers of cyan stained clay coming out of the base of the feet of Herobrine. Then, take this back row of clay and do 2 rows of clay on top of it. This is still with the cyan, that's 1 and 2, so it's 1 higher than the clay that we have on the front. You then want to do, surprisingly, only 7 rows of blue. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that, and you just want to fill all of those rows in. The reason being is because Steve is very untidy and likes to untuck his shirt at the back. I said Steve, but I meant Herobrine. I'm really not getting any of these names right in this video, am I? What we now want to do is this. So we want to, on top of this next row, going from left to right, we want to do a row of 4. No, make that 5 dark blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then do a cyan wool, and then 2 dark blue. For the next row, do a row of 4 dark blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 3 cyan, 1 dark blue. What we can then do is we can make up the rest of the rows, and they can be cyan wool. So add rows of cyan wool on top of the last row that you made, and add it up until it eventually hits the base of Herobrine's head. So add it all up, on and on and on and on and on, until eventually hits the base of Herobrine's head, like that. Wonderful. Well, once you've got that taken care of, the next order of business is for us to do the sides of Herobrine. So we're going to be all the way down at the bottom of the leg here, right the way down at the base of the foot, and we want to, on top of this left block that we have here, this cyan hardened clay, we want to go up on top of this left hand clay by 2 of the cyan, 1, 2, and then this right hand one, we want to do 1 with the cyan clay. Add a dark blue on top of that second clay, and then what you want to do is you want to add a dark blue wool on top of these, and you basically just want to add a dark blue wool on top of these 2 blocks until it is in line with the dark blue that you have on the front and the back of the statue, like that, right? Then do cyan wool until you hit the top of the statue. So you essentially got the statue in kinda half, and it looks like that. Do that to that side, do it to the opposite side. So on the opposite side, it'll look a little bit different, but you want to do your 1 cyan hardened clay at the front, 2 cyan hardened clay at the back, and you want to do then your dark blue wool until it is even with the dark blue that you have on the back. On the front it's different, see? Because you have the cyan here, but still it's the same position. Then it's just cyan wool all the way up to the top, and there you will have your Herobrine. For the most part, we have disarmed him. Do you get it? We've disarmed it, you guys get it. Anyway, well, once you've got that done, we now want to give him arms. So we want to re-arm him. So to do this, we're going to begin on the left-hand side because that's the fun side. And we want to extend this top row of cyan that we have right at the top on the left-hand side. We want to take this top row and we want to extend it outwards, this row, by 4 with the cyan wool. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We then want to take this 4th row and we want to extend it down by 3. This is 1, 2, 3, like this. We then want to do underneath this 4 rows of white hardened clay. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. We then want to take the cyan and we want to connect it back to the body. So you only have to do this on the front and the back, but take the cyan and connect it back to the body, like this. The white stained clay, however, we want to take this outer row of white stained clay, the ones that we have on the front, and we want to extend them forwards out in front of the statue by 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want to have that for each one of those white stained clays, so like that. We then want to take the outer white stained clays and we want to extend them towards the center of Herobrine, each by 3, so that'll look like 1, 2, and 3. And we want to do that for each one of the outer white stained clays. So remember, that's just for the outer ones. You can do it for the inner ones if you want. However, it's quite simply a waste of time because there's no point in doing it. It's just using extra blocks for the sake of adding extra blocks. Also, fill in the gap that you'll have at the back of the arm here, and also fill in the gap that you will find that you have on the inside of the arm as well. And there you have just a nice little pokey out part of Herobrine's arm. Next thing we're going to do is give him his diamond sword, the same sword that he used to slay Notch. So we're going to, with the cyan wool, we're going to pick any one of these center blocks that we have on the end of the arm. Right at the top, the 2 center blocks, we can pick either one of them because what we do to one, we have to do to the other. So I'm going to take this one, the inside one, and I'm going to do 2 cyan wool on top of it, 1 and 2. And then, moving outwards from Herobrine, I want to do 8 upright diagonals with the cyan wool. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Extend that 8th block to the right by 2, 1, 2, down by 2, 1, 2. Then do 8 bottom left diagonals, that being the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Connect it back to the hand. Then take that 8th diagonal, do 2 bottom right diagonals from it, 1, 2, go down 1, left 1, do an up left diagonal, connect back to the hand. Also, when you did the up 8 right diagonals from that same block, you want to do an 2 up left diagonals, so that is 1 and 2, connect back to Herobrine's arm, do a diamond block underneath that second block, do a cyan wool underneath that, go right by 1, down by 1. So you want to end up with the outline of a diamond sword, and you might be asking yourself right now, why is it that he hasn't added any blood yet? Well, the blood is completely up to you. However much you want to add, in what position, where, that's up to you. I will be adding some myself, but that won't be like a step-by-step tutorial. It's something that you will kind of like feel out for yourself. I'll explain more later. Okay, now for the base of the sword, which we're now dealing with now, by the way. So what you can do is you can actually get rid of cyan, hardened clay, and blue wool for a while, and you can grab some oak planks. So we have to make the handle for the sword. The handle for the sword is quite easy to find. So if you take the same block that you began the sword from, it's this kind of like upper corner of the hand, and you move downward, bottom, left diagonally of the sword, you can kind of figure out where the handle of the sword would be, and it would be on the 4th block coming in from the front, and it'd be the 2 middle blocks. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here, and we're going to begin with an oak plank underneath this block. Yeah, just like that. Then we're going to do a bottom left diagonal from this oak wood plank. And then we're going to do a bottom left diagonal with the block of diamond from that second plank. Here's what we do. We do a spruce wood plank left and right of that first oak wood plank. We also do a spruce wood plank right of the second oak wood plank. And then we do cyan wool all the way around the diamond block, wherever we can. So wherever we can do cyan wool, we go around the diamond block. It'll look like this. Once you've done that row there, you want to add another layer to it. So remember how I said you want to have the sword in the 2 middle spaces of Herobrine's hand? Well, that's what we're doing now. We're now going to replicate what we've already done once. We're going to double up on this, and instead of having a simple single blocked sword, we are going to have a 2 blocked sword, and it's going to look quite nice, and it's going to look a little something like this. So once you've doubled up on the cyan and stuff, the only step left is to fill in the sword with the diamonds. So we will be adding the red stained clay later. Do not worry about that. That is absolutely going to happen. And by later, you know what, we'll probably take care of it all at once. So when we do Herobrine's hand, we'll add the sword. When we do like Notch's head, we'll add, I said we'll add the sword, but I meant we'll add the blood. But we'll add all of the blood in one go. We just want to have this bit taken care of first, and then we'll add all of those little gory bits. So that is what you want to have for Herobrine's right arm. He's kind of holding his sword very, very close to his body, and that's exactly what you want. What more can I say? Well, once you've got that sword taken care of, the next step of this is going to be to make Herobrine's other arm. So we're going to take the right hand side of Herobrine, and we're going to take this upper row of cyan wool, and we're going to extend it outwards by 4 rows with the cyan. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to take this 4th row and we're going to extend it down by 3. 1, 2, 3. Connect that 3rd row all the way back to the body. So however it is you want to do that, I'm doing it kind of in an awkward position like that. Fill in the back of the arm with cyan wool. With the white hardened clay, you want to take each one of these blocks of the arm, and if you want, you can add another row of cyan here in the left to form like a solid square shape. You want to take each one of these blocks of the arm, you want to extend them forwards by 8 with the white stained clay, so that'll look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on and so forth. You want to do that not once, not twice, however many blocks that is. I suspect that it's about 16. You want to do that many times. Actually, I don't think it'd be 16 blocks, would it? Would it be about 13 times? However many it is, I don't know. I'm bad at math, don't listen to me. I can't even count properly. However many times it is, that's how many times you do it. And this will give us Herobrine's out extended arm. And then, once we have the arm, by the way, I know it's lacking the blood. We'll be adding that later. We'll add all of the blood in one go, because why not? So, there's the arm. What is missing, however, that I will show you how to make, which will need black wool for, plus we'll also need light grey hardened clay for, is we need Notch's head. So, we'll begin by adding a row of white stained clay underneath the bottom end of the hand. Add a row of 4 white stained clay. Extend that row outwards left and right by 2. 1, 2, and 1 and 2. Add 3 rows of white stained clay behind what you've just made. So behind it 1 row, 2 rows, and 3 rows. In front of this, do 4 rows of white stained clay. So that'll be 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, and 4 rows. So you want to have something which should look exactly like that. What you can then do is you can take the 4 corners of the shape that you've made. It's a big giant square basically. And you want to go underneath the corners by 7 with your white stained clay. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you want to do the same 3 more times. Now, I'm not going to count this out 3 more individual times because you can just use that very first row to count it out. So, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to count it out 3 more individual times. Why am I crazy? I'm going to use that first row, and I'm going to have some, it kind of looks like a really creepy table. Well, that's what you want to have. So, what we can now do is we can make Notch's head. So, first of all, we'll work from the top to the bottom. How about that? So, take this very top front outward row of Notch's face, and underneath this add a row of white stained clay. Then, for the next row underneath this, going from left to right, do 2 light grey clay, do 2 white clay, 2 light grey clay. Then, underneath this, do a row of white clay. Underneath that, going from left to right, do 1 white clay, 4 black wool, 1 white clay. For the next row, do 1 black wool, 4 light grey clay, 1 black wool. For the next 2 rows, do 2 rows of black. 1, and that will be 2. Perfect. Looking creepy, almost like a fish. What we now want to do is we want to connect the bottom corners of Notch's head together, and we want to fill in the outer sides of the head in with white clay. So that's all we want to do. We want to fill the outer sides of the head in with white clay. So that's the bottom, left, right, back. And once we've done that, we will then add Notch's scraggly beard. And then we'll think about adding blood, because that'll be what happens next. We'll add a bit of blood to this thing to make it more gruesome, more Halloween, and to make it look quite nice actually. The blood definitely adds something. It's very striking. Like when you have a look at it with and without the blood, because that's how I started. I didn't add the blood initially, and there's a massive difference. It definitely makes it look a lot more gruesome, and it makes it look better. It really does. But there we go. That is Notch's head filled in without his beard. Now, if you've ever made Notch's skin, or if you're just aware of it, he has a little beard that actually comes down onto his chest area. And this beard, we're going to make 1 row underneath the head, 1 row backwards, and 1 row inside the head. So like this, here. And we want to do a row of 4 black wool underneath the head, right in the center of that second row. And then we want to take those 2 center black wool and we want to extend them down by 1. So that is actually Notch's beard. So it adds a bit of depth to it, a bit of depth and depth to it, and it looks nicer. Now it's time for the blood. Let's add it. So the blood is made out of red hardened clay. It looks the best, or at least in my opinion. The blood, first of all, we're going to add a little around Notch's mouth, because I figure it's probably going to be there. It looks good there. We're also going to add some blood splattering in a spiral sort of shape, kind of like rain. We're going to add some blood splatter underneath the head, and it's going to be in different positions. It's going to be in different depths. And preferably it's going to be kind of like, it's going to be spread out. There's not going to be like an insane amount of it, but we want some blood trickling down from Notch's head. So something like that maybe looks quite good, and maybe you even want to take that 1 step further, maybe like 1 row backwards there and 2 rows backwards there, just to kind of like spread it out a little bit, however you want to do it. I figure that the arm that Herobrine is using to hold the head would be quite bloody as well, so I'm going to delete this first row of Herobrine's hand, and I'm going to turn it red. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to establish a pattern that we're going to be using for Herobrine's hand. You know what? I'm going to delete the second row as well, and we'll also make that row red. Where we can see it, I'm not going to delete blocks that people can't see. So there we go. There we have 2 rows. And then we can add... no, you know what, actually the first row looks good. And then I'm just going to delete a block. Every other block I'm going to delete. And this is just going to give kind of like a cool looking pattern for the blood, and it'll look something like that. And then we can fill the rest of the row in with red hardened clay. You can use the same strategy if you wish for the other hand. So it's not too much blood, but it's just enough. If you want, you could do the same thing with the other hand, although I'm not going to, because this is where the sword wants to stick out. We don't want to blend it in. So I'm first of all going to destroy, you know, the bottom part of the sword where we have this like arrow here on the edge of the guard. I'm going to destroy this, and I'm going to make it red hardened clay because I think that that looks good. So I'm going to make that red hardened clay. I'm also going to destroy the part of the sword that I figure would get kind of like really bloody in chopping off Notch's head. So like the under part of the blade, like if Herobrine was to swing, then I imagine that this is the part of the blade that would catch Notch. Kind of like that. Like I think it'd get caught in that pattern. Like that part of the sword would probably be kind of like all nice and bloody. And I figure that the top of the blade would also be quite bloody as well. Maybe he really dug the sword in there. Maybe he stabbed him first. I'm not sure, but if you want to be able to easily reverse some changes, then only destroy one half first. Like I think I'm actually going to move. I'm going to move the detail 1 row down so I can add a bit more blood at the top here. So yeah, if you're not confident where you might definitely want to 100% have it, just destroy one face of the sword first. That way it will make it very, very easy to reverse what you've done should you not like it. So I actually quite like that. So now we can come on the opposite side here and we can destroy the exact same blocks on this side. Like it does make it a little bit trickier. Is that block? Yep, all of these have been destroyed. And I know that there's another one down here somewhere. I do believe that it's this block. Yep, that looks good to me. So there we have a nice little bit of blood added on. So like I said, if you want to add more, add more. I'm not going to add any to the hand because I don't want to add too much of it. I think his face, one hand, the sword, and adding some trickling blood from the sword is definitely a cool idea as well. So remember that if you are going to add this, do kind of like keep to the rule of like have the blood trickling down, preferably at different depths, at different, just in different spaces. Like use a variety of space for the blood. Don't keep it all bunched together. Use it sparingly, and just like that, like 3, 4, 5 droplets of blood is great. And if they are kind of in a place that makes sense, and if they're I just destroyed the one I wanted. If they're in a place that makes sense, and if they're all spaced away from each other, it kind of looks good like that. There we go, doesn't it? That looks fine. That's more than enough blood. So that is the statue itself pretty much done. There's just some more things that you can do now to enhance the surroundings. So if you want to, you can do this. It's up to you. You might not like it. We're going to do a lava pool, and we're going to add some skeleton skulls rather, on top of some nether brick fence. Plus, we're also going to do a bit of a grass path leading from Herobrine's feet all the way out in front of him. So first of all, I'm just going to do this lava pool that is kind of like just in front of Herobrine. Now, this lava pool, I kind of designed... I don't know why I made this, right? Well, I do. Let me explain it. I don't know how much sense it makes. I figured that Notch, being the magical being that he is, after being destroyed by Herobrine and his diamond sword, I figured that Herobrine would want to dispose of the head in a pretty drastic way. So I figured a lava pit would make sense. So this is kind of like Herobrine like throwing Notch's head into a lava pit, which is apparently quite hard to get still. This lava pit is situated roughly just below the head, but it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, and it's not too big, to be honest with you. You don't want a massive patch of lava, do you? Trying to make it still is actually quite a challenge. It's really... Oh, there we go, we finally got it still. And after I did that, I kind of figured, hey, why not add some, like, fence and some skeleton skulls on top of the fence to kind of, like, make it look as though it's a special pit. Kind of just, like, dotted around, because why not? Basically, most of this statue is kind of like, because why not? So, that is the outside of the statue. The house. To get inside the statue, the house, we have to create an entrance. This entrance, for me, is on the bottom right-hand side of the feet, and it utilizes this many blocks. So we have a double door. We dig into the feet so we can actually access it, and you won't be able to see it very well, so let me grab some torches. I would run some ladders all the way up the side here, the side of Herobrine, and I would knock in to Herobrine's arm, and I would knock down into the inside of Notch's head, and that is where the living space would be, or the base. That is where I would put that. You can also, if you like, create a platform and you can access the opposite arm. Now, I've actually just broke into the daylight, which is kind of a mistake, but you can also use the opposite arm as a bit of storage space or a hidden room. Same goes for the inside of Herobrine's head. All of this can be utilized as space if you so choose. Now, that I've told you about that, and put any door on that you want, whether that wants to be a regular oak door or dark oak wood door, whatever you want. This grass path I made to kind of like just lead you into the house. So if you were so awestruck by the statue, by the house itself, it's both really, it's a statue house, then have a grass path, because I think this looks kind of cool, I like it a lot. Have a grass path that kind of leads you towards the house. Now, like I said, add it, don't add it, doesn't matter, completely up to you. I like it. I think it adds something else to the build. Is that good? Do we want an extra block there? We want to add a grass block. There we go. So add it, don't add it, it's completely up to you. Whether you want to or not, completely up to you. But I think that adds something kind of cool to the build. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Notch. The Death of Notch, I think, is what I'm calling this this particular house. This is the Death of Notch house. I think it's really cool. It's really gruesome. If it's not a house for you, it's an awesome, gruesome looking statue for you to use for Halloween. I think that it looks awesome. I think that it looks great. I think it looks incredibly bloody and gruesome. Like I keep saying the same words over and over again. I hope you liked it. I really do. It's pretty easy to make. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, give it a share. I'd appreciate that no end. You've got no idea how much I'd love you for that. Comment down below. Would you like to see another house like this in the future? What would you like to see? Comment down below. Let me know. Also, follow me on Twitter at TSMC360. If you make this house, I would love to see it in your world, especially if you made any changes to it. Also, I know there's a lot of things here. Subscribe if you haven't already. Not only do we make houses like this, but we make less horrifying things. Like that, for instance, over there is like an arena tower from Clash Royale that's also in a house. That's a Japanese style house. That's an arcade machine. Those are admittedly also pretty gruesome houses. That's a killer clown, and that is a pumpkin house. But over there we have like an arcade machine house. We have a snow globe house, stuff like that. And we do real houses around here as well. Check out the cards, check out the description below for all sorts of tutorials relating to what I've just talked about. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Enjoy your Halloween. Don't let any creepy clowns get you. And I will see you guys in the next video.